This is where the fun begins.
Well, hello everyone, and how is everyone going this fine Saturday afternoon or evening for some? I am glad to be here with everyone here reviewing Darth Maul Shadow Hunter, and this has been long in the making. I know Stig has been trying to push his vote for this book for how many votes now? You know.
Well, it's because it's a book I've read, so I didn't have to read another book every month while I'm reading other books. So It was completely selfish.
Very self. Well, and he really liked it too because he was pushing me to read it because I, had my own opinion about Darth Maul. I liked him for what he was up until The Phantom Menace. And then after Filoni resurrected him, I was like, I'm done with him. So I really didn't care for him afterwards, and I didn't really give him a chance. So I kind of avoided reading this book. And Stig's like, you need to read it. It's really, really good. And then finally, when I kind of fessed up, yes, it was good. He's like, yep, I'm always right. So let's see. We have people popping in now, and we have Soul Assassin here. Hit the like button or hit that like for that opening. Yes, thank you so much. And I will get some music on the countdown. I had to take that song off because I was getting copyrighted strikes, even though it said it was royalty free. So I don't know. That was weird. I got it off the YouTube, official songs you can download for, royalty free to use. And I still got copyright striked on it. So I don't know. It's crazy.
They always find a way.
They always find a way. It doesn't matter what you do. You could say the wrong word at the wrong time or whatever. And bam, you're either getting demonetized or striked or whatever. So
get some Commodore 64 music.
Commodore 64?
Commodore 64, yeah.
Okay. I'll look into it.
Nobody copyrights that.
All right. And then we have Riff. Hello. Thank you, OG Star Wars, for continuing to shine the glorious EU light. Thank you so much. And I have people who feel the same way about this. And they all have read at one point this book, Darth Maul Shadow Hunter here. So let's go ahead and start discussing it. So the author is Michael Reaves. And this was a Del Rey book, and it was published 2001. The timeline is 32 BBY, and we'll get into the books, and I'll have Stig talk more about the books that line up with this that goes into the Phantom Menace. And the world's visited is Coruscant, and the main characters that this book highlights, even though there's other characters in this book, is Darth Maul, of course, Lorne Pavin, who basically it will show up in different novels in the future. I-5, which is a droid, and he shows up in the future as well. And then Hath, Monchor, Darth Sidious, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darsha Asant. So Stig, go ahead and talk about, or just tell everybody in the chat who's watching about those other books that are in line with this that goes into the Phantom Menace.
Well, this book takes place in the last few days before the Phantom Menace, not the Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace.
Phantom.
Yep. And it takes place during the Darth Sidious book. In that book, Sidious sends Maul on 2 missions. And he just vanishes for a few chapters. And this is one of those missions. The other one is from a comic called Darth Maul, I think, where he takes out some Black Sun fellow. Black Sun Vigo, I think that's what it's called. Okay. And it also takes place at the same time as a book called Cloak of Deception, I believe, which has more to do with the political maneuverings and the plotting of the Trade Federation blockade of Naboo. So you have a little cluster of books and comics there that all takes place in the same time frame.
Oh yeah.
And in my opinion, they did a good job with it.
They do. They do.
I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it was,
Yeah, there's no such thing as perfect. If it's perfect, then I think it'd be too stiff. You know what I'm saying?
B+, I'd
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, you're right. Cloak of Deception is 32 BBY, the same time frame as well. And James Luceno is the one that wrote Cloak of Deception. And then there's a short story called Restraint that also takes place coincide with Shadowhunter. So we have that as well. So it's very interesting how, once George gave the go ahead of, expanding in the PT time frame, we get all of this wonderful, magnificent, lore, books, comics, all of that. So, it's worth picking up the, if you want to explore more behind the scenes, I guess you could say, or expanded upon the movies from the PT, pick up this book and Cloak of Deception and others as well. There's other books that tie into other areas of the movies as well. Just like Evil ties into, and even, the Clone Wars 03 ties into Revenge of the Sith. So it leads up into it.
Yeah, and the books that lead up to episode 2 and 3 were released about a year before the movie.
Yeah.
And George Lucas directly references those novels in the movies.
Yeah.
He episode 2 talks about the mission Anakin and Kenobi was on Ancion with Luminara and Barriss, and you see Luminara and Barriss in Palpatine's office when Kenobi and Anakin arrives. So he took all that and went with it.
Yeah, he sure did. All right, so we begin this book here. Darth Sidious is plotting his invasion of Naboo. And so we know, we there's hints, like if you're not familiar with the PT, you kind of get hints of here and there. It was kind of ambiguous who Sith or who Sidious really is. Over the time frame, we start learning who he is and stuff. But once you've watched, you know who Sidious is, of course. And so he starts his invasion of Naboo, which basically he is from there. So he's beginning to stage both sides of the war. And then we have Hath Manchar is one of the Neimoidians conspirators. And then he takes off with the crucial information, and he wants it for his own self, to have his, for his own personal profit, I guess you can say. So we'll just go down the line here. I'm going to go ahead and take this down here. Let's go ahead and remove. And Rev Kid, so go ahead and give your, what you thought about this little bit of information and learning that, we already know this, but learning about Sidious's plot and how Hoth is wanting, to benefit it for himself.
Right.
And all that.
Yeah, I thought it was a good way to build a little bit more on the background of the Trade Federation. Because when you just see the movies, when you just see episode 1, this Trade Federation kind of shows up out of nowhere, right? Like you've never heard of that before, and the whole trade route dispute and all that, some of that background politics stuff. I just thought it was really cool that, not all the Neimoidians actually agreed. Like there's all the backstabbing going on within their own culture. So I thought that gave a kind of a neat twist to the characters and made them a little bit more interesting, in my opinion, too. So
yeah. I know his look at Stormtrooper is way in the back right there. Look at that. It's like, it looks like.
Yeah, he's falling over. I got to straighten him out a little bit.
He's getting tired.
He's a casual Stormtrooper.
Yeah, it's been a long year for him, so he's laid back.
He's joining the Fallen Order.
Yeah. He hasn't gone outside to play all year.
Yeah. All right, Teresa, what did you think about that bit? Because there's little tiny jewels here, and you're like, oh, this is, we understood Sidious controlled, or Palpatine controlled both sides of the wars. But when you get behind the scenes and, learn about, exactly how he does this and stuff, so go ahead and, if you want to share anything about that.
Oh, for sure. Anytime that we get any background that fleshes out what was said in outline, it's always loads of fun. There were 2 aspects of it, though, that I thought were dumber than rocks. On the part of the characters, rather, not on the plot. One, why the hell would Sidious go, here's all my evil plans, and they're right here for somebody to grab and steal and pass around like a football.
Yeah.
How convenient. And then how dumb is that Hoth dude for thinking he can backstab Darth Sidious? What an idiot.
And Gunray. Yeah, and Gunray too, for like thinking he needs to like cover for him and protect his ass instead of saying he took off with the plans.
Yeah, it's like wasn't me, I swear.
Yeah, he left with the plans. You better get him. He took him from and and covered his track. I know Sidious is, he's conniving and he's also very dangerous, too as well.
The Nemoidian might not have known that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just how dangerous it is, but still, yeah.
And it does
you make some points.
Yeah. It does fit with Newt Gunray because he didn't tell Sidious anything in episode 1 either. It's like, wow, we don't have anything to report. So it just kind of he just keep all the information to himself kind of person.
Yeah, it was kind of consistent with his character because when he was talking with Sidious about, Sidious like, oh, where's the plans or blah, 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 or whatever. And, and he's wondering where Hath is. And he's like, oh, well, he's gotten ill. He's, recovering when he knew, he left in the escape pod.
Yeah.
With the plans.
Well, no one wants to instantly die. I feel like he's like, if I don't have to volunteer the information.
Exactly. He's like, I'll cover my ass too and try to recover him. And basically the holocron. So but the thing is, I got it with the holocron that had the information on there. And that's the thing that we're getting into is like how it got excuse me, how it basically was up for sale and people are wanting to buy it because we lead up to Lorne Pavin and his droid I5YQ. So what did you guys think about Lorne Pavin? So Rev, go ahead and with his sidekick droid.
Yeah, I really liked him a lot actually. Like it starts off a little slow. It's just kind of your typical kind of smuggler character.
Yeah.
So it's your typical smuggler, kind of down on his luck kind of guy, which we've seen a lot before in Star Wars. But as the book progresses, they really developed a pretty cool backstory for this guy, which I really liked because it was kind of new. That whole idea of like a parent, what does a parent do when their children are taken by the Jedi to go and become Jedi?
Yeah.
You never really hear of that, right? So I was like, that's a great concept. So
yeah, not all parents thought it was an honor for their kids, their Force-sensitive kids, to go be a Jedi. And even if that's one thing that's covered in you call it Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader. We have one, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now, but he actually gets to meet his mom. His mom's the one that rescues them after Order 66. And the husband, his father, is the one that thought it was an honor, but she, who is the Force sensitive in the family, didn't want her son to go. And that's what kind of split up the relationship. So there's another good story background on that, not to, stray from this. So yeah. Teresa, so what do you think about Lorne and his sidekick droid?
Oh, I thought I5 was hilarious. I thought he was loads of fun, the way he was looking after him, like even when he was drunk at the beginning and helping him, and very cracking. He was quacking. He was quacking like a duck. And I think it's great that he was the one who survived it all now, didn't he? So he was a good character. As an aside, did they rip him off a little bit for the Rogue One? Because he seemed to me has kind of that similar personality.
That's what I was thinking too, that K2SO kind of has that little bit of that droid attitude that we see with I5. And there's other droids too that have kind of that attitude as well. But so I think that they did take some characteristics kind of to make him likable, I guess, or people can attach to him, as a character. And I think maybe that's one of the few good characters that they've ever made. And
for sure. Yeah.
yeah. And it had to be a droid and whatever, and all right. So Stig, what do you think about Lorne and I-5?
Well, this is a very grim and dark story for the most part.
Correct.
So I-5 is in there to add a little bit of relief.
Yeah.
Which is it works. It's a very good character. Lorne is the sort of character I think that just grows on you as the story progresses.
Yeah.
And I thought he had a bit of that. Those old gangster movies from the 40s and 50s, So some guy down on his luck and spends some time in the bar, and then he gets a job and it's all trickery. It got a little bit of that vibe.
Yeah. Correct. And we get also a scene in the book where Maul is training. When he's and towards the beginning too as well, where we see him training, and preparing and stuff. Well, we know that Maul is basically one of Sidious's secret weapons, apprentice or whatever, what have you, and that he's been training since Sidious found him. And I don't know if we want to reference what Filoni did with him.
A little side note on that one.
Okay.
That training sequence almost directly mirrors Vader's training sequence in Shadows of the Empire, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Yeah, with the little the droids and stuff. Yeah. Yep. And so we have that there. So we kind of get an idea of how they train, and all that as well. And so I thought that was like a fun little piece for me when I read that, just to kind of get into the background and all that. So let me see. I got another one.
And the sequence also. This is something they did in 80s movies. Actually, it establishes to the reader that this is how good Maul is.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Hello, Lady Toriel. How you doing? I wasn't sure if you were gonna make it because I know your work schedule and stuff. So I'm happy you're here.
Yeah, I made it day off. Saturday's a day off, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice. All right. So we just began speaking about the novel, and we covered, Sidious speaking, basically Sidious's plan to, the invasion of the Naboo. And then we just talked about Darth Maul's training within the novel, and then our thoughts about Lorne. I don't keep on saying Lord, but Lorne Pavin and his droid I-5. So if you want to cover on those little things, go ahead. I mean, it's a lot, I know, but what you like about Lorne Pavin so far, what from beginning to learn about him, and then Sidious's plot, and then Hath is Hath taken off for personal gains with the plans, Sidious's plans. So
it's very interesting to watch the chess game that starts and the long game that's about to happen. The twists and turns are amazing in this book.
Yes.
The droid and what happens there is very interesting, very comical, puts the lightest touch into the book where it needs to be, because it's a very dark book. But I enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed it. I read Plagueis right after this, so.
Okay, awesome. So right after you read both of them, how did you feel about Plagueis and this coinciding together?
Oh, it filled it in. You find out a lot about Sidious that you did not know before.
Yes.
And it actually fills in a lot for Shadowhunter.
Mm-hmm.
And I would recommend everybody, if you read Shadowhunter, read Plagueis, then read Shadowhunter, and it makes a whole lot of sense because of all the tie-ins, and you find out an extreme amount about the backgrounds.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. And then, Stig mentioned before you came in, another book that coincides with this and Plagueis that happens at the same time is Cloak of Deception. And that part is basically about the senatorial stuff going on, what's going on in that time frame as well. So that's another one that meshes well with this. And you get all sides, of everything. You get Darth Maul's and what's going on and how they are almost, how the Sith were almost discovered, but we know that they weren't, not until Obi-Wan kills him, basically. And then you get, the behind the scenes with Sidious or Palpatine, taking control with, and Darth Plagueis and what, the Sith were doing during that time frame. And then, of course, Cloak of Deception is basically the senatorial government portion of it. So very interesting. Very, very interesting. So, and
Cloak of Deception has a lot more Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan in it.
Yeah. Yeah. This one has them towards the end, but we know why, and we'll get to that here soon. Yeah. So thank you for joining us as well. So is there anything else you guys want to add to the beginning of the book that we haven't touched bases on?
Unless we're talking about herself, the Jedi Padawan, when she gets her.
Yes, we haven't got to that, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, yeah, I didn't know if we said beginning in general or beginning from the first one. Well, no, I'm just saying that every time that we get to see what it was like for just a normal Jedi, not just the famous ones like Obi-Wan, and how a normal trial was supposed to go. How she gets it, and then she's going off, and she's all ready, and that means she's going to become a Jedi Knight. We now know it became far larger than they ever even imagined it was going to be. But I thought that was a great introduction. And you see the relationship with her and her Jedi Master.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so her Jedi Master is a Twi'lek, and I didn't write his name down, so if you guys remember the name, I know her because she's one of the main characters, and it's Darsha Asant, and she's a human Jedi Padawan. And I forget her, like I said, I forget her master's name, but when she goes to the council to get her, basically the mission that that they're giving her, and this is going to be her Jedi trials as well. She sees them, like, you kind of referenced Miss Martin uses, she's like, oh my God, there's Mace and there's so-and-so and so-and-so. I've only heard about them or read up about them in my studies because there's so much going on and not every Padawan gets to see the council.
Yes.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, of being starstruck and that they were these far off figures and
Yeah. And so Rev, you want to add to that a little bit? What did you feel about, did you get kind of the sense of how big the Jedi Order is during that time?
Yeah, again, I'm a big fan of the Jedi, so anything that kind of gives a little bit of a hint of how the training, the life that they lived, kind of that whole, I kind of always like more that monk side of the Jedi, that the training and the trials and all that language that you've heard about. It's keep show more trials. And it's kind of cool how each trial is not, it's not like here's this canned test that everyone has. It's different for everybody, right? So I really like that. So I just thought that was a cool just introduction to her character.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, so Steve, so what did you think about that? About her, her interaction with the council, her master and stuff. And I'll pull up the name right now, but go ahead, go.
Well, I pretty much agree with what's been said so far. So I don't have too much to add about it, but like Revkev said, anything that has to do with, I guess, Jedi lore is always welcome, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Let me see here. I'm going to try to pull up the name here. Yeah, and she is such a phenomenal character in this book, and it's, of course it's short-lived for her. Not trying to give any spoilers out right away, but but we get to see
it anyway.
I know I did in so many words. And so I mean, just seeing her development and the Jedi trials and her her communicating with her master and stuff about that, it's amazing. I really like that. Let me see here. Let me see. I'm looking for the master's name because I wish I wrote it down, but I didn't. But she gets
Twi'lek.
Yeah, he was a Twi'lek. She gets to see Adi Galia.
Anun Bondera?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Sorry, it took a while to find it too. I'm leafing through my book.
I got the
where
book
is it? I know, me too.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, where is it?
I knew it was something started like an O.
So she gets to, get to see Plo Koon, Eth, Mace Windu, and, who is a senior member of the council, so she said she felt more than little giddy just being in the presence of this august company. And she also,
side note, Darsha and her master are also in Cloak of Deception a bit.
Oh, okay. Nice. All right. So then we're going back to Lorne and his sidekick, his droid. And so they're in a little like diner. And at first I think it's the diner. I could be wrong, but I know there was a diner scene where I was like, oh, maybe we're going to see Dexter, but it's not Dexter. But anyways, he is bargaining with a Tordarian named Zippa, who is offering him the holocron, and he's saying it's a Jedi holocron. And so they're going through this little bargain riff, whatever, for it as well. So what do you guys think about that little scene there? So I'll go with Stig this time. About that little back.
I read this book last January, and I don't remember that scene.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Oh, next one, please.
So pass.
This is a quiz. Right.
Yeah. So, Miss Martin, what do you think about that? Because we have this interaction with the Tordarian, and it kind of goes back to like the Phantom Menace about, we see, Shmi's master, who's a Tordarian, Wadu. And but his name is Zippa and stuff, and he's offering that holocron, and I'm guessing that's the one. I'm not too for sure. I was kind of confused on that, if you guys can correct me. But that holocron he's offering seems like has like vital information about Sidious's plans.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, I did get it right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was the whole thing. Though it's funny because part of me, I'm starting to panic because my mind just went blank. Certain things stick out. Because this was my first reading of it, and I did do the abridged version. So no, because that's the only one that they had for me. So there might be one or two little moments that don't quite pop up. But of course, every time we see a Toydarian, I love it. I thought the Toydarians were really a lot of fun as a character, and they were established in the Phantom Menace as used car salesmen, people that would deal in these kind of shady things. And I don't know though, man, just see a holocron and run. That's all I gotta say. Go buy some jewelry on the black market, death sticks, whatever, but holocron, bad news.
Yeah, exactly. And so, Rev, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, again, they're just kind of setting up some of the underworld stuff, right? Which is, again, always a fun part of Star Wars. So where do you go in the black market to get rid of a holocron with the plans of a secret Sith? Like, where are you going to get rid of this, right? So you just can't go to the Jedi Temple to make some money off of it. So you got to get more more of the background underworld stuff, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We have Matt Wilkins here. I hear Stig talking belly dancing or taking belly dance classes. Good for you, sir. Way to keep an open mind.
Yeah, we want video of that. So
that is 100% slander from Wilkins yet again.
If you have time to jump on Matt Wilkins, you're welcome. I'll send you the link, and then we can hear our banter between Stig and Matt. So,
well, there's nothing to be ashamed of with belly dancing. It's great. It tones the core. You know,
well, the man is obsessed with my physique.
Oh my goodness. These two. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and send the invite here.
A marvelous troll.
Yeah. So then we also get, so we could talk about Coruscant a little bit here. So, you know, part of Darsha's trial basically is there's a former Black Sun member hiding in the Crimson Corridor of Coruscant. And that's where the council is taking or wants her to go, because she wants to go secure that former member of Black Sun and take that person back to the Jedi Temple for safekeeping, I guess you can say. So, Stig, do you remember that? Hello, Stig? Is he?
Yeah, I'm thinking. No, I don't remember that either.
The white light is shown in our eyes.
It's way better if you ask other people first, because then you know what they say trigger my memory.
Okay, all right. So Rev, go ahead and take it, and then Teresa can lead off with that.
You know, it was interesting, that part of the book. The intro part of this book, the introduction of all the characters, actually really made me feel like I was playing a Star Wars role-playing game. Like all these little characters kind of coming in with all this big plot around them. And the fact that she goes on this trial and pretty much, are we spoiling this, like totally messes it up.
Yeah.
You know, right from the get-go. And it was just like, that's awesome. You know, like I like it when people fail and have to learn from it. So she fails, you know, and it was a kind of a cool thing that she had to do, to try to go to this underworld, find this guy, get him back to the Jedi Council. So it was just fun and just trying to figure out how she was going to do it.
Yeah.
But it sounded so easy, right? And she was quite arrogant about it. This is way too easy.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
And we know the underworld is so bad. There's so much. There's criminals. There's subspecies of humans that are, and we'll get into that are dangerous as well and stuff. And so it's very, very interesting. So
also a little side note. A lot of the aliens in episode 1 weren't really fan favorites. Let's put it that way. I don't think I'm being too wrong if I say that. But the Toydarians, nobody had a bad word to say about them, and they did show up in all kinds of media after.
That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah, because there's even one in one of the KOTOR games.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't stay long because I'm about to head out, but I want that Steeg pack.
You want that Steeg pack?
It's not a 6-pack, it's a Steeg pack. Because it's just so buff with all that belly dancing. And
it's
believe
like
me when I say belly dancing.
Now.
And look at your babies. Look at them. All right. Well, thanks for popping in. And we're reviewing, of course, Shadowhunter. So do you have anything?
And I'm watching. I love it. I wish I could for once I wasn't busy. I could sit down and talk trash. Visit all of you.
Well, it's easy though. Just stop the car and leave, and bring your phone with you.
No. All right. Thanks, guys. God. Thank you, OG.
Thank you for coming in briefly. You have a good day. Bye.
Y'all too. Bye. Steve, screw you.
What?
Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh my God. Yeah, and I don't know.
I'll remember that one for next time.
Huh?
I'll remember that one for next time.
Well, no, I think that's quite marvelous. I think the Steeg pack should become a thing.
Yeah. Let's see here. And then Lady Toria, I know she dropped out and it might be her connection, but you're always welcome to jump back in, darling. The underworld is always a shady, wonderful place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what the cool characters are.
Yep.
Let's see here. And Matt wants all the smoke.
All the smoke.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So there's different corridors and there's different levels, of course, we know of Coruscant. And I think at one point Dexter, was hiding in because there's that crimson corridor. I think they have an orange corridor, but I probably said it wrong. So there's different, areas. And I guess the further you go down, the more dangerous Coruscant is, because you don't have the order and the law, and so and then, like Stig was saying, and like I said too, that, the species evolved down there to where they're quite dangerous. And we also see that, later on in the lore. And I think one of them is like, was it New Jedi Order or was it Fate of the Jedi? One of them where Luke Skywalker was meeting with some of the Senate down in one of their lower parts of their senatorial places, and they I forgot the species of type of dog, I guess it is, but they were very dangerous, and he had to kind of interfere or try to clear this path for them before they got into the lift and stuff. So it's very interesting.
I think those creatures showed up in the some of the comics we covered as well.
Yeah.
Yep. They're right at the bottom of Coruscant, really. It's completely primal with dangerous creatures.
Yeah,
they're mentioned in the Jedi Academy as well in the very first book, when Wedge is on construction duty of demolishing all the old buildings. And he's heard rumors of these subhumans that are down in the lower levels, and so he's kind of worried about bumping into that. So I just been started reading that one, so I thought, hey, that's cool. It all ties in there.
Yeah, and the Tong are originally from Coruscant. The Tong, who basically were the original people of the Mandalorian culture. Yeah,
it would have been fun to see what they would have done with the Star Wars Underworld show that got canceled because George Lucas was gonna. Well, it was gonna be called Star Wars Underworld.
That was gonna be badass.
Yeah, I think he said Sopranos in space. And he said it would use fringe characters. It was going to take place during the dark times before episode 4. So I'm pretty sure Bib Fortuna and Jabba would have been in it quite a bit.
And it was going to tie to 1313 game, which basically had Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So that would have been really interesting. So just imagine the game 1313 with Boba Fett tied to the underworld.
Yeah, that game was almost finished.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is, why not just finish it and release it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can only gain from it.
Well, look at now, look what they're doing. They can't, sell any of their original character merchandise. So they're jumping back to, the EU, the original EU stuff now.
Yeah,
they've actually gone back to probably 77. Was that when Jackson?
Yeah, when you bring up Jackson the Rabbit, you're digging deep as well. That's pretty awesome.
Awesome character anyway, though. But you know what? If that's what they're doing, there's a lot of those, a lot of characters from those old Marvel comics that I would certainly want to see as an action figure. You have Danny the Celtron, you have Cairo the fish guy, and what's his name, the Valance the cyborg.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and Fen Shisha actually. There should be a market for another Mandalorian these days, right?
Yep. I'm trying to find the name of that friggin' subhuman species that that they had to face down there in the underworld.
I can. Since I'm a co-pilot anyway, I can have a look.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you. Yeah, that's another one I didn't write down. But like I said, I woke up, before 5, and I've been awake ever since then. And I took a nap, and so. And then we also have a hut in this too as well. So we'll get to that. Yeah. So Maul is sent by Sidious to search for Hoth or Hath. I keep on saying Hoth because of Hoth, but
I know.
I'm like,
I did the same thing. I was confused as F listening to it.
Yeah, so it's Hath Monchor or Monchar. And so he basically doesn't believe Gunray, which, of course, I mean, look at him. They're shady anyways. And it's kind of funny how he has them, how he's playing them. He doesn't really have them as confidants, Sidious. He's playing them. So he's using them as pawns. Again, it's like he's moving chess, like Teresa said, he's moving chess around, to stage this, the blockade of Naboo, of his own planet, mind you. But that's how evil he is. If people don't realize how friggin' evil, Sidious is, from the OT into the PT, this book will let you, and then the other books like Plagueis and stuff will let you know.
Mm-hmm.
And how brilliant he is too. And so when we see him, resurrected in the new lore, which I kind of laugh at, he is a friggin' idiot.
Yeah.
They take this brilliant man and friggin' turn him into an idiot. And people get so pissed off about that. About people, so go ahead.
The fact is that everything about him is self-serving and selfish, and that's the whole nature of the dark side, even with the whole rule of the two.
Yeah. So Rev, is that what it is? That's how you spell it?
That's how you spell it, but with my lisp, I can't pronounce it. So
I literally just found it myself. It's
I just
zombie-like humanoids.
Yeah, Sithons or something like that. Yeah, I'm at the listen to it again.
Probably Catons.
Catons, that sounds good.
Catons, yeah, Catons. I'll have to listen back onto the Audible and see how they pronounce it. I forgot how they pronounced it, but yeah.
Imagine one of them being named Kyle. Yeah, Kyle Katon.
Oh no!
No.
That would be confusing enough.
Yeah, no way, no. Yeah. So so Sidious basically sends Maul out to search for Hath. I did it again. While Gunray worries about the implications of Hath's desertion. So basically, Gunray is basically pacing because he doesn't want Sidious to kill him or send someone to kill him, because that's what Sidious does. And then he lies to Sidious, and Sidious knows he's lying, and so he sends Maul out for him. So we have this little deception going on here, and so I thought it was interesting about that. So it takes him into the underworld as well. So go ahead, Rev Kev, if you want to expand on that a little bit more.
Yeah. Again, the underworld stuff for me was amazing. Like, it just was just a great adventure. And you had like all the different creatures that were under there. And like, what was that big giant worm thing, the Tao Zin or something like that it was called. There was just some really cool, fun stuff under there that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
It just kept like problem on top of problem on top of problem. Like, it was like, it's bad enough you have Darth Maul chasing you.
Yeah.
But now you got like, zombies and giant, insects that are, you can't detect by the Force and things like that. So it was great.
It actually felt like a little bit like a Dungeons and Dragons adventure.
Yeah.
When you go into, an old, very dangerous dungeon, and then,
Yeah. It was a role-playing game for me. Like, it really felt like that. Like, it was. Like,
and apparently their rolls really sucked, because they would almost be done. They'd almost be clear, and then they'd roll a 1.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Critical miss.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we have the Padawan, and she's sent on her own. So her master can't go with her because it's her trial. And so that kind of puts the fear into her in a little bit, just a little tiny bit, because she's like, I'm not going to have my master with me. And even her master, is like, I'm not going to be by her side, and I know I have to trust in the Force to let everything be the way they're supposed to be. And so she gets down into the underworld, and I think it's her speeder or whatever. And I think she parks it, and the criminals in the underworld start basically taking it apart and all this. And she's like, you can't do that. And she tries to use the mind trick, and it doesn't work, because she's still learning. And so we have great development with her, showing that, not everybody's capable of doing all the Force stuff, like we see in the new lore. So she kind of fails with that. And who shows up with her during that time? I think someone comes to her aid in that sense, if you can remember. I don't remember, but I know that they were trying to take her speeder away from her and stuff. And was it Lorne that finds her?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I couldn't. I was just trying to remember if it was Lorne or if it was the bounty hunter. But no, they only meet up with the bounty hunter later on when they find the Droidian. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what did you, Rev? What did you think about that when you got to see her face danger for the first time, and it's just those criminals that strip her speeder and stuff like that, and how she tries to use the Force to help herself out and stuff.
Yeah. Again, for me, it's I mean, the most important part of me for Star Wars to connect with a character, it's got to have that hero's journey. Like if you come out of the gate more powerful than anybody else, it's just kind of like, it's not interesting, right? So I like to see the struggle. I like to see the learning and the growth. So
yeah, and it's easier to root for a character when the character is in trouble from the get-go.
Absolutely.
And still keeps trying despite the odds.
Yeah, like Sorry, continue.
It's why Rocky was such a success.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And at each stage she learns. I use the analogy, speaking at another time, Alora, to you, about it reminded me of the Star Wars Hunger Games. Very similar, though of course this came first. She's Katniss thrown into this situation. With some training, but
to be oh sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, it's like she needs to fight the zombies and the insects to level up to face Maul.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, and in each stage, yes, she seems like she gets like extra powers.
Yeah.
But she earns them.
Yeah,
she does. And so I'm looking at the book right now too as well, because if I have like I said, I was telling Stig earlier, the Reader's Companion usually has a great summary of each book, but for this book, the summary was very small and very to the point. And I'm like, what the heck? Usually you have when you get further into the New Jedi Order and stuff, you basically have a huge summary of what's going on and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of stage, your research and stuff with that, and then and point stuff back to the book and stuff. So I was kind of shocked with that, because Maul is such a wonderful character, and we have Darsha is basically a well fleshed out, in this book alone is well fleshed out, and it doesn't have that much going on for her in that summary. So
the thing is, it could be that most of the stuff that's leading into episode 1 is also covered in Plagueis and Cloak of Deception.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which leaves little for this one.
True.
Could be. I'm just theorizing.
Yeah, and it was her Skyhopper, not her speeder, but her Skyhopper. And so she encountered what they call raptors and stuff down there. And it was a Tordarian that was with the raptors as well. So they're they're saying, oh, well, she's a Jedi, kind of deal. And so, they're messing with her, and she got her Skyhopper, stripped and stuff like that. And, and so it's very, very interesting. So, and then we have, like I said, Lorne basically tried to buy that holocron off of Zippa, and that was not successful. And basically they left him, the deal, he got really pissy with Zippa, and so the deal went bad. And, Zippa left him and, was going to have his henchmen kill him. And, and then we have I-5 doing a high-pitched sound, kind of what he called a scream. And I thought that was interesting, and how that that hurt the ears of Zippa's henchman. And I think one was a who was his henchman there?
Well, I thought it makes sense because they're bat-like.
Yeah.
And they basically navigate by sound.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was pretty interesting how he did that and stuff. So it was pretty interesting as well. So I need to hold on here. Oh, I'm still waking up. I'm sorry, you guys.
Yeah. And I've only
worries.
read it once, so sometimes these little details I feel like I'm in a quiz that I'm failing.
No, you're not. You're not. There's so much, this book is so dark and so much is going on in each of these scenes that it's there's so much to take up, because we go from, and we're getting these characters introduced. We're getting Lauren introduced into this atmosphere, basically down in the underworld. The Padawan that does Hath, basically is the one that, is trying to, benefit from Sidious's plans. Maul's down there now, and he wants to find Hath, and he runs into Lorne and into Darsha, and she realizes he's a Sith, and so we have all these characters coming together down in the underworld, and everything takes place on Coruscant. There's no other planets involved whatsoever. So it's very isolated.
Yeah, and very unique in that sense. And how mind-blowing to know, well, I guess it was not Qui-Gon who was the first one to face a Sith at this point. It was this young Padawan.
Yeah. And they Maul encounters Lorne and them, and I think eventually we get her master that goes down into the underworld, and I think she fails to secure the Black Sun's agent. She fails to secure that. And so we have her master coming down into the underworld as well, and he gets slain by Maul.
It sucks to be everyone. Like I said, they rolled badly. Badly, and the dungeon master said they must die.
Yeah, and Maul does fail to kill Lorne, and Lorne gets away. And he's like, I can't let this happen. I can't fail my master. He can't fail Sidious, because his ass is dip if he does.
I was
so now he's not only going after Hath, he's going after Lorne, and then he's also, going after that Padawan.
Yeah, it's a three-way hunt. I also like the way that the imagery that they use of it being a hunt and it being his prey. To me, that was very much in keeping with the way we saw Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace. It reminded that one scene right after he killed Qui-Gon, and they have a little barrier between him, and he's pacing back and forth, sitting there with his old devil horns. And it reminded me of the scripture. The devil is going around like a prowling lion seeking someone to devour. And that is how I was seeing him, the way that he was being described on this, very animalistic.
Yeah. And I have this, I have the book, part of the book open. Maul saw his query slip past him. So basically he's talking about Lorne and them, but he could do nothing to stop their flight while his attention was on the occupied by the two Gomorians. Using one hand to spin the lightsaber in a blazing pattern that blocked the particle beams burst. So basically the Gomorians were shooting at him and stuff. And so it also gets into he killed the Gomorians. He goes, the lifeless Gomorians sagged on the floor, and Maul wheeled quickly about to deal with the Hutt, and that Hutt is Yanth. So Yanth too is witness, and so we have a lot of crap going on. There's a lot of details going on. We have Yanth that basically is interested in the holocron as well. Or that it's not a he or she, but you know what I mean. But we have, that holocron is the main subject of this. The person with the dark sun or the black sun, of course, but that holocron is the main, I guess you could say plot point, maybe,
it's the Ark of the Covenant. It's like what the Ark of the Covenant is in Indiana Jones.
Yeah, exactly. So Stig, what do you think? I'm going back to Stig. You know what? We'll come back around. He's muted. So what do you think about the interactions with Yanth the Hutt? Because there's so much going on with him as well. Or it.
Yeah, for me, again, it just brought again more of those dark elements, like kind of those underworld elements type of things. Like again, one of the things that I really like, so in the Star Wars role-playing game that came out a few years ago actually has this segment of the Edge of the Empire, which is it's all the outer rim stuff, all the bounty hunters and the Hutts and the crime lords and all that stuff. And it's just kind of really cool when you get some glimpses of that from the novels and just kind of see how it all, interacted together, how, Black Sun and all these different, you got these big high crime lords and these little wee ones and everyone just kind of intermixing in there. So, especially when on a world like Coruscant, where it's supposed to be so perfect and so beautiful, but yet it's so ugly underneath.
Exactly. It's like there's so many years and cities built upon each other since, the Tong left.
Right.
And so that's very interesting. And what's so sad is that she felt her master. So Darsha felt her master die as well.
Yeah.
So she felt that in the Force, and and she's like, she didn't really have time to mourn. I think that's what it said, which kind of goes back to Leia, we're talking with Luke, and she's like, we don't have time to mourn right now. We're back on Yavin and stuff like that, and so I thought that was very interesting as well. And this book, I mean, it's hard to cover every single detail. It's like it's action packed. Even the slow parts are very good.
Oh yeah, because it's building backstory at the same time while all this action is going on, which I thought was really well done. Again, like the main guy and his droid, like how again you just assume they're just this cardboard cutout smuggler type person down on their luck. But it's kind of during the action, while everything is happening, while they're fighting all the creatures and running from Maul, you just get more and more and more of his story at the same time.
Yeah.
Really well put together that way.
Yeah. And what's so interesting is like Maul was like, before he killed what was his name? The master's name is Bandara. Before he killed him, he was like he was grinning savagely. It would be the work of a moment to dispose of Pavin and the droid. Then he would just see just how good the Jedi were. It had been far too long since he had felt his lightsaber clash against another. So basically he's like savoring. He wants to kill that Jedi. He's feeling that pull to get rid of the Jedi, what he was trained for.
Right.
So like I said again, if you guys have not picked up this book, those who are in the chat, do it.
Yeah. And what was cool is as Maul was fighting, all these little encounters with Maul, it's his respect for his prey was increasing.
Yes.
Like I'm gonna get them. Like, and he had no doubt of his ability to get them. But every time they got away, there was a mishap that something allowed them to get away, or it's just his respect for his prey was incredible. With that, I thought was really cool too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not going to get too much into Gunray because we all know he survives this.
Yeah,
as well.
He's going to be fine.
Yeah, so he's going to be fine. So I'm just going to, pass that part off or whatever. But they do send, Windu does send Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan down into the underworld as well. To investigate what's going on. So we have that little meeting with the council with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan is still a Padawan in this, of course, as we know.
Yep.
So if you don't know the lore, that he's still a Padawan. We know how he becomes a knight.
And they kind of have a near Maul experience.
Yep. A near Maul. That sounds
near Maul. Yeah. They're all just sliding past each other.
Exactly.
Well, and were they trying to maybe develop some parallels with Obi-Wan Kenobi and herself, the Padawan? Because ultimately both of their true trial ended up being facing Darth Maul and defeating him. I don't want to get ahead of myself because I think that she actually does become a Jedi by the end of the book, in the sense of she was a Jedi. She passed, but then she died. So.
Yeah. She and we'll leave that as right there for right now.
Yeah,
but
the parallels of what's going on,
which is almost what happened to Luke. He became a Jedi Knight right before Sidious tried to fry him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Exactly. All right. And then it's interesting because now we're going to talk a little bit about Lorne now again. Going back to Lorne, he didn't like Darsha, but he didn't care for the Jedi. And the reason why is that his son became at 2 years old, was taken to the order to be trained. And that's Pax, or was it Jax or Pax, whatever his name is. Jax, there we go. And that was Jax Pavon. And so at this time frame, he is now 7. His son is now 7. He was taken when he was 2. And so we have Lorne not really caring for the Jedi because, his son is no longer with him anymore. And I was just mentioning too that, there is in the lore, if you read Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader, we do have, a mom to a Jedi, rescuing the Jedi after Order 66 and meeting up with her son so many years ago, or, since he was handed over to the Jedi Order. And that's what split his family apart. It was the mom, who is the Force sensitive, didn't want him to go. He wanted to let him have his own free will and not be a Jedi. But the father thought it was very honorable to send him in. And that's what split the family up. And so this is very interesting. We get little bits and pieces of like families either liking it or not.
And as a little side note, Jax, who is Lorne's son, is the protagonist of the Coruscant Night trilogy of books, which takes place during the dark times after episode 3.
Yep. It all connected up.
I've never read those though, so I don't know much about them. But
yeah, this brought to mind for me, Laura, a problem that I've always had since the Phantom Menace established that as lore. There's something incredibly problematic about taking children away from their parents. I don't care if it is for a good cause, or even if the parents willingly give them up, and that some of those resentments seem to perhaps put a burden on a lot of these people to tempt them to the dark side. You don't want to, quote unquote, tempt someone beyond what they're capable of. And I always wondered about, in the sense of the Jedis, couldn't the parents give permission, or didn't both parents have to give permission? That would they, for the sake of the family, they just don't seem to be very respectful of family.
Yeah. It's I wouldn't say it's one of their it may be one of their kind of flaws when it comes to attachment and how they dealt with it. And then we see Luke Skywalker correcting that later in the lore. So it makes perfect sense. Like,
it's kind of, they're so against attachments that they detach kids from their families, really.
Yeah.
They're taking it a step too far.
Yeah. And young, right? So that there's not a memory of them, right? Like when you're looking at young Anakin in episode 1, he's too old already. And it's like, he's not that old.
And then such a decision needs to be made of the free will. It seems like that they were skipping over free will with that.
Yeah, and why would it be such a bad thing if Anakin was allowed to go visit his mom now and again?
Right.
Maybe he wouldn't have fallen.
Yeah, because the Jedi do get time off.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very interesting, but it's very interesting how the Jedi evolve over time. Even when Revenge of the Sith novelization, in the chapter called New Jedi Order, which I really, really love that chapter. I love the whole book. The book is amazing, but that chapter has Yoda reflecting the Sith evolved. They allowed themselves to evolve. That's why we were fooled. I trained the Jedi how they were being trained 1,000, like 600 plus years ago, and didn't prepare them for it, to evolve. So basically, he said he didn't evolve the Jedi like he should have had him do. And then he goes on and declares, like Luke and Leia are going to be the heir to the new Jedi Order, who will evolve them. So I thought that was brilliantly written, and and it was all Stover was with George when that book was being plotted out and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, in the characters like Lauren, it's a personification of that kind of pain and that disorder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just bad.
Mm-hmm. And then so Matthew says, I was watching episode 3 and was struck by Anakin not being granted the rank of Jedi Master. And I'll talk about that here in a few minutes. So how did he have Ahsoka as a Padawan so you could be a master but not a Jedi? Well, when Obi-Wan took Anakin as a Padawan and he was knighted, he wasn't a master yet. He became a master. What was it? Just by or in Revenge of the Sith, right? Obi-Wan?
The master thing that the apprentices say to their teacher, it's more like sir.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't mean the person is actually an actual Jedi master. It's their personal master. But as for the issues with episode 3 and Anakin being a master, him getting Ahsoka as an apprentice retroactively kind of, it does mess things up because you're retroactively adding a character to a story in a sense, and that creates problems.
Yeah.
Not a huge problem this time though, but it's still, you notice it, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Ahsoka was supposed to only be added just to kind of like be further reason for Anakin's turn, and she was supposed to have been killed off as well. So
the thing with Ahsoka, in a sense, is that they're almost adding a third Skywalker sibling to the OT in a way, because she's being elevated as being this important, but we never hear about her in the movies. So it's just, it's a bit off. It's almost like it's its own little timeline.
That's how I view it in my head canon, because when I found out that she didn't die, I always assumed that she had died. That Ahsoka was going to die.
George was crystal clear on that, and Filoni even said it. Ahsoka was to die during Order 66, and if that had happened, it would have made complete sense. I would think that if Anakin was the one who killed her, it would have even more impact.
Yes.
Or even if he would have killed her in Rebels as well, it would have still had more impact. But so it doesn't, it makes sense.
Because that would have shown us just how far the guy has fallen.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I think we all assumed that was going to happen. I know I did, and I thought that, how badass is that?
I mean, if he tries to kill Kenobi, he sure as heck would try to kill Ahsoka.
Yeah, because he has a bigger relationship with Kenobi. So that would make sense. So yeah, so we have Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon going down into the Crimson Corridor as well, because they're exploring what's going on with what's her name, Darsha, and her master and stuff, and so they're sent down there, and so we have them starting to get involved in that. And let's see here. And then, they survive. They meet up with Darsha and them. That's when the Sithons or Katans or whatever they're called, attack them, and they're cannibals. So they're humanoid or almost human cannibals. And so they get down there just in the nick of time. Usually that always happens or whatever. And we still have Maul stalking them, and he wants to kill the Jedi as well. And let's see here. And my family is wrestling in the background. All right. and there's a fight going on over here. No, I'm joking. And
fight.
Yeah. So what you guys think about that scene with the Sithons and stuff? They start attacking, and they take who do they take? They try to drag one of the people that are there with off, and she tries to use the Force. I'm trying to recall the scene because I didn't review the scene. I should have reviewed the scene, but I thought it was very interesting how they were attacking and they basically were hungry because they're after them and stuff. So Rev, what did you think about that? I'm like, I can't get the right words for it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. What did I think of it? It kind of reminded me just that because they had technology, right? So they had those nets that kind of were electrified. So they had traps set up. So it was primitive yet with some technology.
Yes.
And so whether they just cannibalized it or they knew how to make it, that wasn't clear. My assumption was they just cannibalized stuff that they found down there. So it kind of, again, just had that feel that here's something primitive that's able to take you out, even though you've got all this advanced weaponry and everything.
Yeah.
And a little bit felt like that, what is that, the old Time Machine movie, when you got the Morlocks or whatever down underground.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That people had mutated. Humanity had mutated into Morlocks underground. So it really had that kind of a feel to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, now my printer's going off. Yeah, and so Teresa, what do you think about that scene? Because it's a very detailed scene, and it kind of gives you a taste of the underworld a little bit. Like, the further you go down, the more dangerous it is, and everybody knows that.
Well, yeah, it's maybe perhaps going along with the same theme we've been saying of like a role-playing game, or you're about ready to level up, or just when you think that you've made it, you trip a trap that unlocks the next big threat. It was very creative the way the author developed these. And just once again, I was thinking, these people, this sucks so bad. And I had this suspicion from the very beginning what was going to happen at the end, because otherwise the Phantom Menace wouldn't make any sense. So I'm thinking, man, all this for, well, we'll see.
Yeah. And let's see. So we know that, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon kind of cross paths with Darth Maul. Of course, they really can't really engage with him because to them he's a surprise still. You know what I'm saying? When we see him, when they get onto Tatooine, that's when they encountered him, Darth Maul. And so they cross paths, which I think Filoni never took the advice of the other authors about, not having these characters have more encounters than what they need to be. That's in the movies, like with Grievous and how many times they encountered Dooku and stuff like that. So, that was his failing. And I think this author did that pretty well, making sure that, they stayed true to the movie.
Yeah, and those Morlocks, I guess. They felt like some old, sci-fi adventure comics.
Yeah.
Heroes visit a primitive planet that is still sci-fi-ish.
Yeah.
They're cavemen, but they have some sci-fi weapons, right? They felt very retro. Which was a good thing, I thought. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, and it made it dark. Like you said, this book is very dark, and so it gave that retro dark feeling as well, and that sense of like, are they really gonna be eaten? Are they really gonna be taken alive? Kind of deal. Even with Darsha, because she is strong in her own right, but we also know she's also weak, and that's why I like about like with Cornhorn. I liked Cornhorn because he's one of the Jedis that couldn't harness the Force as well as other people. So everybody had their own Force abilities or Forced gifts. And I think she's one of them. Like she's still learning and she's still not that strong in the Force and stuff. And, we see that. We see her struggles throughout this whole novel. She even, and then once she encounters Maul, she harnesses the Force in her own way. And I'm not saying like, what the High Republic is doing with them, but she she finds her own strength in the Force finally.
Mhm.
And I thought that was very significant.
Oh yeah.
So yes. And so she quickly became like not my ultimate favorite character, but someone that I really am interested in learning a little bit more about further, or at least, pointing her out to people, like saying, hey, she's a phenomenal character for the time frame that she's in. And she's
sadly, this is pretty much it.
Yes, it is.
Not in anything else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
She's run out of time.
Yeah, she's run out of time. And what's so sad about that?
Forced to quit.
And what's so sad about that is that her final fight is with Maul. Let me see if I can pull the picture up here.
Well, there's a very cool bar fight, really, as well with the bounty hunter and
all right.
Maul.
So, yeah, go ahead and touch bases on that. I'm going to go ahead and pull that picture up too as well.
Well,
so go ahead
there's a little bit of a showdown at the. Well, it's a bar, isn't it, or a cantina in the in the underworld. The bounty hunter decides to tangle with Maul. Doesn't end well, especially for the other people in the bar. But that was another fun little sequence, I guess.
Yeah.
This whole book, though, reminds me of Terminator 1. With Maul being the Terminator.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, relentlessly hunting, and there's car chases in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there she is.
Yeah, there she is.
This is right near the end. You can even see those tanks in the background.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought I'd share this. And like I said, it's so hard, especially when we do these book reviews, it's so hard to really get into every single detail and stuff. But this book here, it has so much detail in there. I mean, it's not bad. It's not a messy read. It's well done. Even the slow parts have meaning, and it builds up. Like if you ever wondered, like we said, if you've ever wondered what the Underworld TV series that George was going to do, this will kind of little bit give you a glimpse into that in a sense. And it's really, really well done. Like it's well crafted. I think Michael Reaves did a great job.
Yeah. He you get what's advertised with this book.
Yeah.
You get to see a story with Maul and Maul being a badass. And as a bonus, you get an excellent female character.
Yeah.
And a surprisingly good plot. Because this, you'd think this would be a very straightforward story, right? But it does have a lot of twists.
Yep.
Yeah, it does.
And a very good ending.
Oh,
yeah,
the ending was so good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
the ending is what happened on this one. And I've been holding back because I'm like, that's the part that's so fresh in my mind. Is just how masterfully it ended.
It's probably one of the best endings in a Star Wars book, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the guy Lorne kind of almost makes it all the time. He almost even kills Maul. But the ending really made me appreciate this book because a story is the sum of all its parts. And this one had only solid parts.
Yes, exactly. And then Sweet Pea asked, do you all read and review just Star Wars novels, or do you read other books? I read other books too. This channel is based upon George Lucas era of Star Wars original lore. And so this is what we're doing for this channel. I know like Stieg loves fantasy books, so he reads a lot of fantasy books as well. Miss Martin Muses as well. And Kev, I'm pretty sure you are into like sci-fi fantasy as well.
Yeah, Stieg and I are part of a Song of Ice and Fire book club that's on Sporking News Channel. If you want to see some other fantasy, book
Yeah,
reviews.
follow them over there and get into that. So let's go ahead, because like I said, it's so hard to touch bases with every single scene in here. Like I said, pick up the book. So let's, I don't know if we want to spoil too much. Well, this is a review and we do spoil everything in here anyways.
Yeah.
So we know that this image right here is Darsha's last fight. You know,
It was so cool.
Yes. So okay, Miss Martin uses ladies first if you want to talk about it.
Okay, well, I'm never one that gets a lot into the technical part of the fights, though it was very well done. What just made me go, oh boy, was the way that she started to touch the Force, and even Darth Maul sensed it. She became a Jedi through how she was fighting, and he respected her so much.
You know
Darth
what
Maul
it reminded me of?
What?
You know, in the Rocky movies, when he takes a beating and then he kind of has enough and he slowly stands up and you get the Rocky theme.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so cool. That's the part that just, as I was listening to it, I was like, okay, that's the moment where it all clicked for me. And I was almost sad that I knew she was about to die.
Yeah, they set her up so well.
Oh yeah.
Huh? It's like Fallen Hero. It's like you know, it's like one of those things where it just like pulls your heartstrings so much. And not all characters in Star Wars lore are meant to survive and live past, and this is one of them.
Yep.
It's like a huge teaser. It's like we give you this magnificent Padawan, and we get to see her, grow into a Jedi, and bam, she's gone.
Yep.
Yeah. But then again, by dying, she's safe from any butchering later.
Yeah, but she also saved others too with her death as well. So
Right. Yeah.
Also, even though it's a minor character, in the grand scheme of things, I felt that the writer took great care.
Yeah.
With this character too. It was just a throwaway character. It actually
absolutely
had depth, and same with another character in this book that we're not going to talk about yet until we get to the ending.
Exactly.
Nice.
But let's just say another character is quite forlorn at the end.
Forlorn. All right. So, and then Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon make it back to the temple, but they do sense her death. And they sense what's going on, and stuff. So that's very interesting as well. I thought that was very interesting. So I'm not going to cover too much on that, but they do get a mission, So I don't know if I should talk about their mission now, or if we should just follow Maul right now and what happens with Maul, or not with Maul, but with who he searches down, the door that he knocks on. Oh my God.
Well, there's stuff happens before that, because Lorne, he goes into space and Maul is there, right?
Yeah. So go ahead, expand on that, because like I said, it's like there's so much going on, but it's also good. It's like it's hard not to like skip over some stuff.
Well, we kind of should tell the audience how exactly she dies, though.
Okay, go ahead, Stick.
It's in the freezing chamber thing. She blows it up with herself and Maul in it, but Maul kind of barely survives. And Lorne escapes. Yeah. And I'm fuzzy about this, but Maul tracks the Nemoidian into space on a ship.
Yeah.
And Lorne goes after him. Was that how it happened?
Yeah. Whoops, wrong one. Get out of there.
And Lorne basically ambushes Maul while they're weightless. If I remember correctly, and he stuns him, and he takes the holocron, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And he doesn't kill Maul when he could have.
No. Yeah, Maul kills Monchor, so Hath, but Pavin escapes with the holocron.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that sets up The Visit. So there. So there. So there.
Cliffhanger. Dun 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 dun.
So I don't know if you want to keep this as a cliffhanger, if you just want to go ahead and spoil it or whatever, because this is like in the past we've just spilled the beans on everything with the literature review. So
well, he delivers the holocron to Senator Palpatine, who thanks him and is very pleased, and I do believe he gives Lorne a sweet or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Takes care of him, lets him rest, get some healing.
Lorne is so like naive. He's like, he's gonna take care of me, because he was thinking about either leaving and going hiding, or to hide, or if he was just trusting the senator.
do the right thing. Bring it to the Senate. And out of all of the senators there, you could pick. He goes, he looks like the nicest one.
No good deed ever goes unpunished.
He has a face I can trust. I'm gonna bring it to him.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he rests, and then there's a knock on the door. He opens, and then Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Who I believe chops his head off.
Yep.
Yeah.
And of course you hear dun 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 dun.
Exactly.
I was reading this while I was on vacation. My wife and we were away, and I jumped out of my chair. I was like, no!
I know, he trusted Palpatine. He trusted him so well. And he's like, he's going to take care of me. And I'm like, it's a trap.
Exactly. And I'm just like, I can't believe it.
Well, we knew he was screwed the second they said, oh, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And it was Senator Palpatine, because I figured it was going to be Senator Palpatine, because they weren't saying the name of him, and just waited.
Exactly.
That it was so well written. That ending was like suspenseful and just like it's one of those books for me, because it's happening before the prequels. You know they can't ruin the prequel trilogy, but it's like, are these people going to get away or not going to get away? What's going to happen? Who's going to survive? What's going to, how's this going to play out? And so just kept you intrigued right to the very last page.
Exactly.
Yeah, and even if you hadn't watched episode 1, it's still a fantastic book.
Oh, very true. Yep.
Exactly. I totally agree. And I'm going to read this right here. Looking into Pavin's eyes, Darth Maul knew what the man was thinking. Even though he were not force sensitive, he could have read it clearly in his enemy's eyes and expression. He said nothing, though Maul had no compunctions about killing anyone who stood in his or his master's way. He was not without a sense of honor. Lord Pavin had managed against all odds to be more of a challenge to Maul than many of the professional killers of Black Sun.
Yes.
And so so even though we see Maul as this ruthless like henchman of Sidious, he did have some honor at least, and he even showed that towards Darsha.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So that kind of gave him I wouldn't say human, but like a more, people can relate to that in a sense, like the compassion, a little bit of the compassion, even though he's a killer and stuff like that. There was still that compassion, that little bit of compassion or that honor that you see warriors have sometimes. So, yeah.
Well, and respect for the prey.
Exactly. Because he's like, you gave me a fight. You gave me, a fight for my, run for my money kind of deal. And so I thought that was very significant. So let's get on to the last part of this. So we do have a scene in here that leads right up into The Phantom Menace. And that's the council sending Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, to the one of the Confederation ships there. Remember to investigate, and that's where it picks up.
Right.
So I thought that was phenomenal as well. And so we are at the end of the book, and like I said, if you guys haven't read it, pick it up. It's it's a great read. It's dark, yes, but it's action packed. Even the slow moments are wonderful. I mean, I didn't get bored with it at all.
And it's worth getting in hardcover, I'd say. It's one of those books.
Yeah. Stig is now in his thing of collecting hardcovers of the books that he enjoys.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm not going to get every Star Wars book in hardcover because it's going to take up way too much space.
Yeah.
But I'm getting the essential books basically, and the ones that tie into the movies and the novelizations of the movies. So Darth Maul is one I'm going to get in hardcover.
Yeah. And then I'm going to read this, and then I'll have you guys' conclusion on what you guys thought about this. Okay, so this is just a little behind the scenes, or just a little bit behind the book, I guess you could say, and the lore and stuff. The movies, episode 1 and 2, included deliberate hints connecting Palpatine to Darth Sidious, which we talked about in a few minutes ago. But any explicit statements that were the same person was carefully avoided by all Star Wars media until 2005 release of episode 3. And the novel has one of the more overt connections. When Lorne Pavin delivering the coveted invasion plans to Senator Palpatine, which we just talked about, yet the Sith conspiracy continues unabated. And so that's the thing. So, the holocron that would connect or reveal the Sith didn't get to the Jedi, didn't get anywhere else. It got back to Palpatine. So that was safeguarded right there, because they were trying to get it to the Jedi, and it failed. They failed. Well, they thought they were going to give it, by giving it to Palpatine, they thought that the Jedi were going to get it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And Lorne Pavin is survived by his droid, I-5YQ, who would resurface during the Clone Wars in the MedStar novels. So I wanted to point that out as well. And by his son, Jackson Pavon, who was taken into the Jedi Order as an infant. Jax would be featured in the Coruscant Night novels.
I'm actually doing the MedStar books on audio right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
yeah.
But I'm terrible at remembering the droid names, so unless it's directly referenced, I wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. So we'll go ahead and I'll start with Teresa here. So what did you think about this book, and especially the ending, or any part of the book? Mm-hmm. Just sum up your thoughts and everything about the book.
Okay. I thought the book did a magnificent way of describing and visualizing what Darth Maul was as he was presented in The Phantom Menace. He was a true scary character. He was like the boogeyman, the Terminator, as Stig says, or the Michael Myers, who no matter how many times you punch him, he just keeps getting back up. You think you're safe and you're not safe. So the suspense was very, very well done. And I've already talked about how the ending, I thought, wow, what kind of an ending could that have been? It ended first with the Padawan with her great triumph, even in death, and then that terrible moment where your stomach just drops out when you realize that he went into the safe arms of Senator Palpatine.
Yes.
Yep. Well done. Very fun book.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And then Rev, go ahead and give your final conclusion.
Yeah. For me, it was a great Star Wars adventure. Great characters, great setup, great scenario. The one negative thing I had from it was I kind of wish they wouldn't have put Obi-Wan Kenobi in it. That's my only negative comment on it. I like fan service and I like when things are connected, but it didn't need Obi-Wan Kenobi for me. So I get why they did it, but that was my only thing. It's like, that could have been left out, but for the rest of it, I absolutely loved it. And I had just finished reading Darth Plagueis. And so because Plagueis I think that was written about 10 years after this one was written.
Yeah.
Or 8 year, 9 year, something like that. So it felt just a slightly disconnected after, like I read Plagueis first and then read this one. I was like, wait a second, like there's no hint of Plagueis in this one. But that was just me kind of nitpicking there.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So, but for me, this is a great Star Wars book, great adventure, great characters, well worth reading. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. Awesome. And then Stig, since this is one of your favorite books, I don't know your placement with this book as well.
It's completely fair what Revkev said. It does feel a little bit disconnected because Plagueis came out later.
Yes.
And there's no mention of him. And he's still alive at that point. But and I agree, the story might have been a little bit better without Kenobi, because he was in there for fan service, really.
Yeah.
He didn't add to the story at all. He actually distracted a bit from it. So
if we would have, I'll just add it to that real quick. If they would have just had them towards the end of the book where they're like wanting to investigate what's, and sending Qui-Gon to investigate, what's going on with the Federation and stuff like that, that would have been great. Not having them go down into Coruscant's underworld.
Yeah, but they already do that in Cloak of Deception.
Yeah.
Which takes place at the same time and has Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon heavily involved. So
yeah.
It's already been done. The twists are fantastic, even though they're evil twists, which in my opinion makes them better. Because the bad guys need to win sometimes too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're no threat.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I'd give this book an 8.5 out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And I know we had Lady Toriel with us for the time being. I think she dropped out or, what have you. So I have a moderator in here. So if you go ahead and share her channel, so people please subscribe to her. She is also one of my channel members as well. So thank you, Lady Toriel. If you want to share in the comments your conclusion to the book, go ahead, share with us. You're always welcome to come back in and give your conclusion as well. And as for me, like I said, I liked Maul for who he was, up until he was brought back alive. And after that, I kind of lost interest in him because he just started, to me, he was pointless. So Stig is like, you need to pick up that book and read it, because I was avoiding it because I didn't really care for him. I thought that his character, did what it was supposed to do and advance Obi-Wan as Anakin's master and knighted him and stuff like that. And, so I was like, okay. And then of course, the book got voted on for literature review, and I really enjoyed it. I loved the darkness of this book. I loved all the plots, all the scenarios in here. It did take me on this adventure where it put me on the edge of my seat, especially towards the end. I was like, that was brilliant of Reaves to do. And so it was and like Stig said, sometimes you have to have the bad guy win.
Yeah. And little side note, that list of EU novels that are in supposedly chronological order that you see in the books, some of them aren't, because according to that list, Darth Maul Lockdown takes place after this, and that's not possible.
Yeah,
it has to take place before, because this is like a day before episode 1.
Yep.
So there's some mistakes on that list. The Republic Commando books as well, because you have the Order 66 book is listed way before episode 3.
Yeah. And I'm looking inside the Reader's Companion, and in here, Lockdown's not in that order. Because right after this book in the chronological order in the Reader's Companion, it goes right straight to episode 1.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that maybe to me was shoehorned in there somewhere just to try to fit it somewhere. That's how I see it.
I'm not sure where it would fit. It would have to be before this one.
Exactly. And I'm looking for it right now, but you have a great point. It's in the order. It's wrong in the order of the novel order that we see published. So yeah. And then Lady Toriel, thank you for coming in and being on the panel. But she says, this is all you could want from a book, The Strong Jedi, but how Maul was single-minded and the ending was so wrong, but so good. Yeah, it was, it was very evil.
It hurt so good.
It did. It did. It hurt. It hurt. But man, it was good.
Yeah. And so I thought, like I said, it was a brilliant ending. He did it so well. Reeves did it so well. It was a suspense. And if you want a Star Wars suspense book, this is it right here.
Yay.
Yes, exactly. All right. So, thank you guys so much. And Rev Kev, go ahead and plug your channel. Where can we find you, and what have you been up to with your channel?
Yeah, no. So on my channel, I kind of look at different Star Wars things. I do look at some EU stuff, but I also look at the parts of Star Wars that I still love, which is pretty much anything before Disney Star Wars. So I look at a lot of the board games, Star Wars board games, miniature games. Just started getting back into the Star Wars role-playing game as well. So just kind of like geeking out and having fun.
Yeah, awesome. So you guys go ahead and subscribe to Rev Kev as well, as you can see.
And every time Rev Kev is on camera, he has more books behind him.
Yeah, well, I've had to do something over the last 12 months while I've been stuck in my basement. So I've been collecting more and more books. So
yeah, and he has like a stormtrooper stalking him from behind. Look at that.
Yeah, that's my official 501st armor. So I'm a member of the 501st, so costuming club. So that's my stormtrooper.
Nice. Very, very nice. Awesome. All right, Miss Smart Muses, Teresa, go ahead and plug your channel and let us know what you're up to.
Well, you can find me here on YouTube at Miss Smart Muses, where I talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. I have some commentary videos up. If you still would like an introduction to the Snyderverse, I did have a live stream with some Snyderverse experts before you watch the Justice League, and a review will be upcoming. So go ahead and have a look.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I recommend you guys go and subscribe as well. And Stieg, I know you're a humble man here that really just...
Well, if by humble you mean lazy, then yes. Yeah, I'm not a YouTuber. I have a channel that's full of old commercials and nonsense and some politically incorrect humor. But other than that, I'm usually on this channel on Thursdays talking about the comics. Yeah. And on Mondays, I'm on Sporking's channel talking about the Game of Thrones books. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
And I might be on Mara's channel today, Jade Shadow, I think it's called now, talking about the Snyder Cut. Which, if you haven't seen the Snyder Cut, I thought it was magnificently good.
Yeah.
It's a 4-hour movie, but it felt like 2 hours.
Yeah. Awesome. And that's what I've been hearing too. I haven't had a chance to watch it just yet. So thank you guys so very much for coming on the panel here. And I'm going to go ahead and share this real quick. We do have 4 books up for vote right now. Okay, mouse work. Okay, thank you. Let me pull it up. Well,
the only one I haven't read is Winning. Again.
Yeah. So here's the poll, and Revan is one of them. Approaching Storm, Truce at Bakura, and The Courtship of Princess Leia. So I remind you guys, it's pinned on my Twitter. Go vote for the one that you want to see reviewed for the next literature review, which probably is like 6 weeks away. Jeez, Laura, spit it out. Yeah, and so go ahead and vote. The poll is up for, I think, until this evening or tomorrow morning. I'm not sure, but I set it for 3 days. And so go vote for the next literature review book. Again, Revan, which is about 3,954 BBY. Then Cloak of or Approaching Storm, 22 BBY. Then we get into the post-Return of the Jedi era for ABY. That Truce at Bakura happens just hours after Endor. And then, of course, Courtship of Princess Leia, 8 ABY. If you want to know, like, you know, what leads up to Han and Leia finally getting hitched, that's a good book to read as well. There's a lot more of like Dathomirian, you know, culture. That's when the Dathomirian culture is introduced originally. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's really good. That part's my favorite part of the book.
Exactly. So guys, go vote for that on that poll as well. And again, this is OG Star Wars, and thank you guys so much for coming in this afternoon here and participating in the chat and listening to the review of Shadow Hunter. I was gonna say Dark Shadow because this book is freaking dark, but it's amazing. It is. But you know, Shadow Hunter, and literally he is hunting shadows in there. You know, if you get into that book, you will understand why it's called Shadow Hunter as well. And thank you for my panel as well. Thank you, Lady Toriel. You're always welcome to come on and talk about the books as well. And you guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you.